New England is a staple of Northern culture and has been for most of American history. The spirit of America, Massachusetts claims itself to be, due to the immediate flames of revolt starting in the capital, Massachusetts. However, in Massachusetts, there was an embrace of secession after the U.S. became an independent nation. While they never went to fighting, they did threaten to leave because of several events, namely the embargo of 1807, which the trade-based economy of New England did enjoy for obvious reasons, the Louisiana Purchase of 1803, and the War of 1812. The major advocates were the leaders of the Federalist Party, so they had a large political influence. What if they succeeded at seceding? Okay. Much like my CSA video, they would have to secede peacefully or with support from Britain. However they do it, the British push for New England secession and the Treaty of Ghent. Also in the Treaty of Ghent is the actual border of Maine and Canada, which for simplicity's sake, let's just say is the modern border. The failure that was the Articles of Confederation is still fresh on people's minds, but the secessionists wanted more states' rights. A more localized constitution is drafted and the Confederate Republic of New England is formed. A major trade partner with this new nation is the US and Britain. On a minor note, the state of Maine is formed from this, as many of the representatives of the spirit of secession decided their own representation in the local Congress or whatever they have. New England focuses on trade, so they powerhouse of trade resources, namely seafood, ships, timber, and perhaps ferries to more local traders like the U.S., namely New England or New York. Tensions would sour mostly at the border for a few years, but as trade goes on, civil life continues, the U.S. and New England's tensions get better. By 1840, relations are pretty normal. Workers move to and from New England and from the U.S. to work. New England follows their mother's example and continues their expansion of the Navy. The Industrial Revolution has basically taken over the northern U.S. and New England, maximizing trade effort. Tensions, however, sour very quickly when CSA secedes in 1860. For the first year, New England stays out of it, but due to free trade due to the blockade ceases, and New England uses its casus belli to declare war. New England would have undoubtedly made alliances with Britain, thus giving them a reason to dispatch at least some of Canada's resources to New England's effort. I believe the U.S. effort would to both take the South and fight against New England and Britain. The U.S. would either surrender or be forced to. By 1865, the Confederate States are their own nation, and New York City, northern New York, and some of New Jersey are incorporated into New England states. If you want to see more about an independent South, see my first video. Britain takes a small amount of land on the Canadian border as pictured. This new massive trade port of New York City boosts New England's economy as more industry comes in. Russia sells Alaska to the U.S. as a way to halt British influence in the Pacific. The U.S. and the CS began having border skirmishes in the West, and by the 1870s, another war in the West begins. With local resources mostly belonging to the Confederate States due to their involvement with the local uprising in Mexico and subsequent invasions, as discussed in the first video, the Confederate Army occupies southern California and what would become Las Vegas. The Spanish-American War rolls around in 1898 as the U.S. is made suddenly sinks. New England, hoping for strengthened ties to the U.S., helps with their Cuban invasions. The Confederate States also tried this, occupying northern Cuba. After some political wrangling, New England receives Puerto Rico as a territory and the naval base is set up. 1914 and the First World War begins. New England doesn't take too much involvement, though they're speedy to help their British allies, except for blockading the Germans and a few troops in France. Germany falls, and so too do the old ideas of Europe. Now, the greatest recession of them all, and the lowest point of stability in New England, the Great Depression, has the possibility of the trade-reliant market to push the government out of power. Maybe the country itself collapses, maybe in a socialist revolution after the hard times of the Depression. I'll look into this in another episode, as I really don't want to trigger these socialism versus capitalism debates. Let's assume New England survives the Great Depression without political collapse or economic revolts. New England, somehow, survives and well, somewhat, and rebuilds. Trade begins anew, and New England goods find their way around the world. World War II begins in New English. Okay, I'll stop. Ships go through the Panama Canal to assist the Americans in the Pacific, and to Europe to assist the Allies, the latter coming first is bound by treaty. New England fights the Germans alongside the British, but mostly at sea, forming another blockade around the Germans to the north. This helps trade continue between the Allies, especially with the Soviets and the West, and possibly prevents a Nazi invasion into Norway. New England, save for an effort at retaking coastal areas, doesn't assist much further than that. The Cold War doesn't happen in the way it does. Perhaps there will still be the 4-decade-long staring contest between NATO and the Soviet Union, but with the loss of territory the Confederacy symbolized, the U.S. would become a superpower on its own. Perhaps the lines between the two would be powerful, but the US by itself would not be the superpower it is today. While New England would never be an overly powerful nation, it would be a constant reminder to the US and to its public. It would be a constant reminder of its failures, as would CS. This is not absolutely how it happened, but it is fun to theorize. If I got something wrong to you or you have ideas that would be a good supplement, please feel free to comment them. I'd love to discuss it. Until then, this is Doc of the Forum.